Hello and welcome to episode 11. In this episode, I'm gonna discuss one or two issues that I have faced and then continue with configuring, creating file systems, shared folders, users, groups, and etc. Now, the first issue that I want to talk about, unfortunately, I cannot recreate it, but essentially what was happening is when I was going to NAS, myholemapjourney.com, the first thing in the morning, like every day, instead of seeing the login page, I would see a big blue screen with loading and then dot dot dot. Now, if you want to just be able to log into your OpenMediaVault GUI, web GUI, what you can do is you can open an incognito window, navigate to the login page, log in, then log out, and then if you refresh the page on the normal browser window, you should be able to see the login page. Another thing you could do is if you were to go to SSH into your machine, do OMV-first state. This is how I did it the first time. Before I tried the incognito window thingy, check RRD, and it will say that there are timestamps in the future. Do you want to delete it? Yes, 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 yes. Quite a lot of them. Let's keep deleting it. Yep, done. Good. Now, I do not know why that blue screen was happening, the login thing, but one thing that I noticed, I'm also thinking if you were to just delete the cookies, sessions, and etc., and then refresh, you would be able to log in again. But one thing that I noticed is if I were to go to date and time, instead of America, Chicago, the time zone that I set during the installation of OpenMediaVault, I used to see here /etc/UTC. And so for now, I switched to America, Chicago, the correct time zone. I hit save, applied the configuration, and I'm just gonna wait until tomorrow to see if that resolves the issue. If it does not, I will try to research it a bit more and find a solution. Now, the second issue I am having, I have been trying to film this episode like multiple times. I have done a lot of things, deleted things, learned new stuff, and what I currently have is if I go into file system, I have a file system that says missing, that says referenced, and I cannot delete it because it says referenced. And it's referenced in shared folders because I created a home directory for users. And it says referenced, but it says also unavailable because I deleted that directory. And if I go into users and settings, the home directory is not enabled, but I still see it in this list, right? So I somehow need to delete all these like references so then I can delete the file system and kind of get a form of like fresh start. And I have not created any snapshots in Proxmox before doing all this, so I cannot just revert the snapshot back to the original form, right? Hey, edit time me here. So I wanted to show you in the video how I use the CLI to unreference home directories, shared folders, and etc. However, it took me a lot of time and trial and error to figure out the commands and the correct syntax of the OMV CLI. And I am having a hard time trying to piece together bits and pieces of those snippets from those videos. And I decided to, instead of showing it in the video, I'm just gonna give you the commands in the video description. Now coming to OpenMediaVault configuration itself, let's go step by step. The first thing I will do is I will go into update management and see if I have any updates. All right, no updates. Now I don't need OMV-Extras at the moment, but it might be useful for you. And for example, if you want SnapRaid, you will have to install OMV-Extras and then add SnapRaid as a plugin, right? And you install it by running this command. However, you should be very careful when installing, when running such commands, because it will pull whatever it is in the script and then run it as bash. And because I am going to be doing it as root, it can be pretty destructive. So if you're gonna do something like that, read the code or just feed it to, let's say, one of the clankers and tell it to summarize it for you to see if it is safe or not. Let's YOLO it. And run it. Press Ctrl-Shift-R in the browser after signing in to the OMV web interface. Why? I don't know. Let's just refresh it. And we now have OMV-Extras. We can do like Docker repo. I don't need Docker repo, but I guess I can now see snap rate, for example. Yeah, snap rate. So snap rate, for example, was not available from the default plugins list, but now it is now available. Let's see like refer. No, nothing was reference related, but anyways, I don't need it. Okay, OMV-Extras installed. I don't need it. You might need it. So if you do, that's how you do it. And why did I do OMV-Extras? That's because in my case, I have 2 drives. In your case, you might have multiple drives, right? And if you have multiple drives and if you want to create a file system, so instead of like Btrfs and ext4, you would also like have the ability to use snap RAID as well. Because currently, if I want to create something like RAID related that choose like multiple drives, I need to use Btrfs, which I don't want to. Before I get to that, let's go into Smart settings. If you remember, I passed the onboard SATA controller to OpenMediaVault, so it should be able to see the smart data, make decisions according to it, like inform me if temperatures are high or not. I enabled it, kept the default 30 minutes. I believe this is 30 minutes. And for temperature difference, I chose 10 Celsius. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I chose it as a starting point. Again, this whole NAS and OpenMediaVault is a new frontier for me. I haven't done it before. And for maximum temperature alert, I chose like 50 Celsius. Because if I go to dashboard and let's see, do I have temperature somewhere here? Oh, if I go to disks, no, smart devices. Yeah, temperatures are like 33 and 34, which is fine. Totally good. Right. Now in the devices itself, I also like added the monitoring. So you choose the device, you enable monitoring, and then I chose use global settings for both the difference and maximum. So you do the same for both of your drives. For SDA, we cannot do anything because maybe we can, but it doesn't make any sense because OMV cannot see those values, right? Because this is the NVMe that Proxmox uses and it hasn't been passed through to OMV, so it cannot see the smart values. All right, now coming to the file system itself. Now the logical person in me tells me that use Btrfs, choose RAID 1 and mirror your drives, right? But if I do that, I lose kind of the capacity of the second drive. It essentially duplicates the same things, right? And the greedy person in me tells me that you shouldn't lose all of your like second drive. It's like 14 terabytes. You should be using all of it. But then again, all of my data, if I combine them right now, it is less than 3 terabytes. It's nowhere even near 2 terabytes in my opinion. So I don't really need 14 terabytes, like 28 terabytes, but I would like to have it, right? And the greedy person in me won. So what I will do, and also, yeah, like proper logical person in me won, let's call it that way, right? And I decided to do ext4 for both of my drives. Now, if you had like multiple drives or maybe those drives had like different capacity, the best solution for you would probably be snap RAID, because snap RAID allows you to use different capacity drives and create a RAID-like kind of array with parity and stuff, right? But I have only 2. So what I'm going to do is the first drive, devsdb, I'm going to use it as a regular drive where the daily data lives, like all the files that I am storing in my NAS, all the files that my services are storing in the NAS, for example, image and etc., right? And then the second drive, I'm going to treat it as a backup. And I will use, at the moment, I think I will use rsync to take backups of my data and store it in the secondary drive. And then I also have 1 terabyte OneDrive storage because I have a Office 365 family subscription, and it gives me like 5 users, and each one of them gets like 1 terabyte. I have shared it with my family members, so I have like 1 terabyte access. And I will use Restic for encrypted backups of important information into OneDrive. Now, I don't know if I will end up using rsync or Restic. These are my like first choices because I need to kind of research them more. Like I haven't used them before as well. I have used, I think, rclone, but not the others. Now the file system creation, it will take some time. I think it took around 5 to 10 minutes, something in between. But once it's done, I'm going to do the same for the second drive as well. And if you want to enable home directories for your OMV users, I advise you to set up your devices, create file systems, and then start creating OMV users. Because if you create an OMV user without a home directory, adding it later on can be a little bit annoying. All right, the first drive is completed. Let's choose the file system and save it so it mounts. Let's apply. And if you do not see this mount point in here like I do, you can go into this table thingy, show hide columns, and choose whatever columns you want to see. All right, now let's create the second one. Dev SDC, save, and it will create the file system now. I guess I chose the appropriate path for me, so I don't really need RAID 1 because RAID is not a backup anyways. It's more of a RAID 1 especially is more of an availability thing. So if one of the drives fails, your data is there, still there, and you can access it, you can use it. And then you can add the first drive again, let's say, and then rebuild the RAID array. But that's not necessarily the backup, is it? It's like still your working, let's say, drive, but 2 copies of it. And with backups, I want to do, for example, like daily, 3 days, let's say a week or something like that. For example, maybe I'll just do daily. That's it. And then again, like I have 1 drive, and I also have an extra 8 terabyte drive, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use. And if I do, I will probably use it as an offline backup, which I will connect once a month, copy my backups, and then unplug it again. But yeah, I think this is an appropriate approach for me. If you have better suggestions, again, like OpenMediaVault, this whole NAS thing is a new frontier for me. I'm experimenting here, right? Like I'm learning by trying. But if you have suggestions, please drop them in the comments and let me know. Okay, this file system creation is done as well. Let's select it, SDC1, save. 85% warning, usage warning threshold, I think is fine. Both of them are created, and if I click apply, it should be mounted as well. All right, now before I continue to users, I will first create a shared folder and call it home, because I want to enable user home directory and choose it as the user home directory. But for it, I need to create it first. Shared directory, shared folders, name, let's call it home. And file system, let's use dev sdb1. This will be my primary data living place. Administrator read write, users read write, others read only. Okay, save. Apply. Yes. Nice. Let's go to users, settings, enable location. Let's choose home. Save. Apply. Yes. Perfect. And now I can create users. Now, first time I did this, the second time, third time, I had my misconceptions about OpenMediaVault users, right? I thought like it's either gonna be regular Debian users that OpenMediaVault uses for its own purposes, or it's gonna be OpenMediaVault users that are unrelated to Debian users, right? But then I found this documentation about it, and it says the user management in OpenMediaVault is provided by the user management of the operating system on which it is running, which is Debian, right? However, OpenMediaVault also maintains control over these users, so management is a team effort between Debian operating system and the internal database of OpenMediaVault. And then they say the user management section in the web interface is divided into 3 subsections: settings, users, and groups. Now, if you go into like CLI and just do user add and create a new user, you will see it in OpenMediaVault. And it will create user and the group as well. And the home directory is going to be /home/ whatever you used as a username, right? For example, MHA. Now, normally you could just create .ssh directory in there, authorized keys, add your public key into it, and then you could SSH into your user if SSH is enabled, which in my case is enabled, right? But I couldn't do that because for it to work, I needed apparently to add that user to _SSH group, right? But if you create a user here, the user is going to be created, but the group is not going to be created. So it's kind of like a mix of two, like between Debian and OpenMediaVault. And I guess if you want to create users, you better do it via GUI, but with extra steps. But so let's create a new user from the GUI, and let me show you what I mean. Confirm password. As a shell, I'm going to use user bin bash. And as groups, I'm going to choose _SSH because I want to be able to SSH into Sharon machine with this user instead of root. And let's go a little bit low. I also want to be able to control it as an admin user, so I'm adding it into OpenMediaVault admin group. Then I want sudo as well, so I'm adding it to sudo group. Perfect. And public key, I'm just gonna copy and paste it from my public key file. Control C, Control V, add. Right, and let's save. Okay, let's apply. Now user should be created. Let's cut /etc/passvd. Right, I can see it. MHA, UID is 1000, but the group ID is 100. Normally it would be 1000 as well because group is automatically created as well. And the home directory in this case is gonna be this long directory because this is the shared directory we chose as our home directory, not the regular /home. Right, so let's go back. And user bin bash, which is okay. So what I can do if I wanted to act as a, let's say, regular Debian user, which I don't need to, but I can create another MHA group and select a user, which I want to add to it, which is my MHA user, and then save. So if I come here and now do get groups, get group, and let's just grab MHA. So we will see that my user is member of sudo, of SSH, OpenMediaVault, and also MHA group, which I didn't show you, but it did not used to exist. And the group GID group ID is 1000. Okay, so I guess if, for example, I want image to upload my images into this drive, I will probably create an image user and give it access to a specific directory, permissions for it, so it can store its own information in there. So, and I can do this step for different services as well, or I can create one service user, let's say, for all of my services and use them as well. It will depend on how I choose to do it. But as a recap, let's talk about what we did. So if you see the blue screen with loading being stuck, what you can do is open an incognito window, log in the incognito window, log out, then go back to your regular browser window, refresh, and it should be okay. The second issue is if you are having like issues with references that you cannot delete, and I couldn't delete it because in the user settings it used to be like this, despite the fact that this directory did not exist, and etc. So then you can comfortably rely on CLI, look at documentation, Reddit posts, and etc., or just use one of the clankers of your choice to find the correct commands. Sometimes these commands are incorrect because they can be for like older versions, but you will be able to figure it out in the end. But apart from that, I enabled smart, set up temperatures for difference and maximum, enabled monitoring for my drives, created file system, created first shared folder, and I think that's enough for this video. All right, this is my home lab journey so far. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next one. And in the next video, I will probably start setting up services and like NFS, SMB, and etc. so I can use it with my other machines and my other services.